Indeed we will. And speaking of the August polls, the Kenyan Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has cancelled a tender for the installation of an integrated elections management system. The IEBC is blaming budgetary constraints and inadequate time for the cancellation, but is not yet giving alternatives. The opposition is, however, warning against the thought of using the manual system in the coming elections.
In the next 19 days, Kenya was meant to have the integrated elections management systems in place. But now, with the cancellation of the tender awarded to French company Gelmato SA for the supply, delivery, installation, testing and commissioning of the system, it is back to square one.
We are doing our best to make sure the equipment they require will be in place before 10th of April.
The system is meant to integrate the existing biometric voter registration, the biometric voter identification, electronic transmission of results, and the political party and candidate registration systems.
The technology, I have no doubt in my mind, will be perfect. The timing is completely wrong.
The IEBC is citing budgetary constraints, saying the bid was above the budget and what it terms as lost lead time due to litigation over the tender. With only 4 months to the general election, experts argue, even with the cancellation, the IEBC is still time-barred.
Right now, they have just terminated this tender process. They have not kicked off the procurement process for the next one. Even if they go to direct procurement, that will still be challenged. And more than just the challenge and the procurement timelines, there are issues of getting to understand what this technology is going to do for you, training people, because you cannot ignore that fact.
The country concluded mass voter registration last month, one of the features of the system. IEBC in its cancellation says there would be no value for money to retain the component. It was ill-advised to include the feature in the first place, according to experts.
The next realistic time for a mass nationwide registration of voters is likely to come just before 2022. Now, do you really want to buy a system today that you will intend to use 5 years down the line, when you have a system that you can continue using until that time?
With time running out, the IEBC may settle for single sourcing or a government-to-government arrangement. But even that, James Orengo, who was a co-chair of the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee on Electoral Reforms, says will have to be above board.
You know, it is something which the government cannot play on its own. It has to involve the other stakeholders. And IEBC must stand tall. And stand over the government, stand over the executive. Because if they are going to operate as an appendage of the executive, then that business is not going to be done correctly.
The James Orengo co-chaired committee proposed the use of the technology, which led to the approval by Parliament of the integrated elections management system. And to Orengo, the use of a manual system in the elections is out of question.
But I can tell you, Jubilee should forget about a manual election.
The IEBC will not yet disclose its next course of action, but the electoral body will be under the spotlight on the use of technology as the clock ticks towards the August